But today was a remarkable day about Chinese influence in Canada. And it's sort of funny. It's like that old movie phrase, the call is coming from inside the house. There's something strange about Justin Trudeau, whose brother Alexandra wrote a book published by Communist China, about David Johnston, who went to China, who opened up a Chinese Communist Party Confucius Institute at his university, who had dealings with China, who sent his own children to China. There's something bizarre about Justin Trudeau and Alexandra Trudeau and David Johnston looking for the Chinese influence. They are the Chinese influence. It's like when O.J. Simpson said he was going to look for the real killer. Yeah, mate, you did it. And the thing about David Johnston is he looks exactly like you would want a governor general to look. It's almost like they said Donald Trump chose Mike Pence as vice president because he just looks so vice presidential. Handsome, gray hair, very moderate, nothing too wild, central casting vice president. And I think he lived up to it. The look in that case, the book was like its cover. I think David Johnston is like that. He looks good. He looks old, but not mentally out of it, like, say, Joe Biden. But the trouble is, he is as corrupt as they say he is. Let me give you an example from personal experience. Because he looks so officious, David Johnston accepted an appointment by his old friend, Justin Trudeau, to serve as the chair of the newly founded Debates Commission. For some reason, after 150 years of Canadian politicians having debates without government involvement, Justin Trudeau nationalized us. Well, for some reason, was so he could control it. And he put his pal David Johnston in charge, and he told David Johnston to keep out rebel news. And David Johnston did. And we went to court in 2019 and we won. But David Johnston did it again. And we went to court in 2021 and we won. But the fact that David Johnston, who's supposed to be above the partisan fray and supposed to believe in freedom of speech and a diversity of opinion because he was a university president, would carry out Trudeau's partisan errands so brutally, and even in the face of a court ruling, would do it again, shows do not be fooled by the central casting, bureaucrat. He is a hardcore Trudeau partisan. And of course he did exactly what Justin Trudeau hired him to do. It was a laugh. There's two ways to get your information about David Johnston and Justin Trudeau and Communist Party influence. One is to follow the CBC. They're in massive damage control mode. And I remember the panel they had the other day where they had Chantal Hébert defending Trudeau. She is a Trudeau Foundation alumna. It was just incredible. Well, that's incredible as a pundit, but imagine David Johnston as a Trudeau Foundation elder. In fact, he didn't even mention the Trudeau Foundation in his presentation today. It was rather incredible. So you can get your news from the CBC or from alternative media. And I just want to give a shout out to a Rebel News supporter named Andy Lee, who I think she speaks Chinese because she certainly does excellent research. And the Chinese language press is full of hundreds of images of Justin Trudeau, his family, his senior cabinet, and David Johnston going to Chinese Communist Party events. So he's deeply involved with the Chinese Communist Party. I'm not talking about ethnic Chinese or cultural Chinese. I'm talking about the Chinese Communist Party. Imagine putting David Johnston in charge. It's like O.J. Simpson looking for the real killer. All right, enough preamble from me, but I want to show you a half dozen clips that I think sum up what happened today. Here's David Johnston ruling out a public independent inquiry. No. That's the wrong idea. There should be further inquiries, David Johnston recommended. And surprise, he recommends that he do it. Imagine that. Take a look at this.
Another central piece of my mandate and a requirement of this first report was to determine if a separate public inquiry or public process is required to investigate foreign interference in our democracy. There have been widespread calls for a public inquiry from media, opposition parties, and Parliament through a motion passed in the House of Commons. When I began this process, I thought I would come to the same conclusion, that I would recommend a public inquiry. Well, it would have been an easy choice. It would not be the correct one.
Yeah, you have to understand that out of 38 million Canadians, the best person he recommends to look into this is himself. Frankly, that's a move that they probably gave him advice to do from the Chinese embassy. Now, by the way, a lot of this reporting came from the Globe and Mail, and I got to give them credit. They have been strong on this, like they were about their reporting about Jody Wilson-Raybould and how she stood up to Trudeau's corruption. You'll remember that the first thing Justin Trudeau said when he was faced with the Globe and Mail revealing that Jody Wilson-Raybould was fired as Justice Minister because she wouldn't go along with Trudeau's corruption, Trudeau looked the camera in the eye and said, "The Globe and Mail reporting is not true." I just want to show you that just to see what a cold-blooded, bold-faced, sociopathic liar Justin Trudeau is when it suits him. Remember this flashback?
Did you or anyone in your office pressure the former Attorney General to abandon the prosecution of SNC Lavalin?
The allegations in the Globe story this morning are false. Neither the current nor the previous Attorney General was ever directed by me or by anyone in my office to take a decision in this matter.
Well, it was actually the same reporters that broke the story on Chinese involvement, and that's exactly the same response that Trudeau and his team have had. And so the reason the story progressed was because CSIS agents, who were so appalled by the obvious compromising of Canadian leadership, the Manchurian prime minister, if you will, that CSIS started leaking facts to the Globe and Mail, including the fact that CSIS had warned about Chinese involvement for years and given reports to Trudeau and his office, and they had ignored them. Here's David Johnston saying, no, pay no attention to the CSIS memos. Trust me, I can't show you any of the intelligence, but I've looked at it and it's all fine. Take a look.
Foreign interference is not usually embodied in discrete, one-off pieces of intelligence. It cannot be dealt with on a one-off look-what-I-found basis. The limited leaked intelligence and subsequent reporting have led to misapprehensions relating to incidents that are alleged to have occurred in the 2019 and 2021 elections. Moreover, I have found no examples of ministers, the Prime Minister, or their offices knowingly or negligently failing to act on intelligence, advice, or recommendations on the issues I have investigated related to the 2019 and 2021 elections. However, I did find that there are significant and unacceptable gaps in the machinery of government.
Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe the memos. Don't believe the CSIS agents. Believe me, Justin Trudeau's lifelong family friend and a man who sent his own daughters to school in China and invited the Confucius Institute to his university. Trust him. It's all okay. He can't show it to you because it's a secret, but you'll trust him because he looks the part. That was an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. I'm Ezra Levant. Every weekday, I do a monologue about the topic of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest either in studio or via Skype. And then I read your mail, whether it's fan mail or hate mail, which is sometimes even more interesting. This is on our premium service, though, called Rebel News Plus. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. It's $8 a month or less if you buy a whole year in advance. You get my show every weeknight, plus Sheila Gunn Reid's show every week. It's called The Gun Show. It's pretty amazing. You know, we rely on you because we do not take a dime from the government. In Canada, that makes us almost unique. So please help us out and help yourself to some great journalism at rebelnewsplus.com.